For those who may not have heard of JDC Phosphate, JDC Phosphate is an intellectual property company that is commercializing its patented process called the improved hard process for making high purity phosphoric acid out of low-grade phosphate rock without the production of phosphogypsum or any high volume waste product at all. Rather than producing phosphogypsum, we produce an aggregate material that I'm here to visit with you a little bit about this morning. So it's a transformational technology. We've been working on this for about 5 years. The plant that you see on the screen is our demonstration plant in Fort Meade, Florida. We've raised approximately $40 million to get this plant up and running, and we began our first startup operations last year. And what I wanted to visit with you about is tell you a little bit about the company, a little bit about the team, a little bit about this aggregate product, and to request that you consider putting in the budget an allotment of money for some testing of this aggregate. Next slide, please. So we'll review the team, talk about our startup activities, next steps in commercializing this process, what kind of testing we think will be needed to classify this as a good quality product for use in concrete, road work, and other construction applications. Next slide, please. So this is the team, and I would point out a couple of new members of our team. In coming here in times past, Mark and I have come to address you all. We have a couple new team members, Dr. Jim Trainum and Dave Blake. Jim Trainum is a PhD chemical engineer, a great addition to our company. He was recently named by the American Institute of Chemical Engineers as one of the 100 top engineers of our age. I'm not even sure what to do with that. It's great to have Jim on. Dave Blake is formerly from senior vice president from the large iron ore manufacturer and miner and processor Cliffs Resources, and he came down to our little science fair project to work on it because he also sees the transformational nature of this technology. So we're really happy to have these new members, and they add a lot. They add a lot to the group, bringing this technology to where it needs to be. Next slide, please. So what we do is we take low-grade phosphate rock, petroleum coke, and sand. We dry those things, those materials. We grind them up, and we make them into feed balls, feed spheres that feed a kiln. The kiln in our plant is a 93-foot long, 8 feet in diameter kiln, and inside that kiln, we get the kiln to about 1,300 degrees centigrade. At 1,300 degrees centigrade, a reduction reaction occurs, which drives off the phosphorus from the phosphate rock. Phosphorus auto-ignites in the presence of air, and so inside that kiln there is air, and that phosphorus ignites, providing enough energy to keep that endothermic energy requiring reduction reaction going on in the bed of the kiln. So now we can reduce the gas, and as long as we're feeding balls to the kiln, we're producing a gas called P4O10, which is then converted to phosphoric acid. So it's transformational because it produces phosphoric acid for what we believe will be demonstrated to be less cost using a lower quality phosphate rock. The consequences of using a lower quality phosphate rock is a significant increase in the life of the phosphate industry. We believe we can actually triple the life of the phosphate industry. We can add more than 1 billion tons of phosphate rock reserves out of the same disturbed acres that are mined today. So that's the process, and we're very excited about it. Like all new processes, and that plant in Fort Meade is the first on the planet. There's no other one like it. And like all processes that are the first of its kind, these are difficult things to bring on board. And we have certainly had our challenges. It's been more expensive than expected. It's taken longer than expected, which some might say is just as expected. but we're really excited to bring this new technology to the plant. Next slide, please. So these are the products that we make. This that's clear phosphoric acid down there is the sort of phosphoric acid that we would anticipate making. Next slide. And the second product is what we call J-Rocks. So we don't produce phosphogypsum, we produce an aggregate product that we believe will be useful in concrete and road applications, road stabilization applications, and other applications. We've tested these J-Rocks. They do not emanate radon. They do not leach metals. These are an inert product. It's not something that's dangerous for the environment, and it's something useful rather than a waste product like phosphogypsum. Next slide, please. So we've conducted 8 hot operating intervals from November 2013 through July of 2014, and we've demonstrated most of the key things that we needed to demonstrate. We have been able to achieve high phosphorus yield, release the phosphorus from the phosphate rock. We've been able to achieve stable temperature control across the kiln. This was extremely important for us to be able to do. And we've been able to convert the exit gas from that kiln into phosphoric acid. We hadn't been able to do it for a long time, however. That was because of some dust that we had, dust formation in the kiln. But in the last couple of runs we made, we found a robust solution to the dust problem, reducing the dust by more than a factor of 10. So we had to solve that dust problem, or we didn't have a process. Thank goodness we solved it, and we do have a process. So what we're doing right now is installing some additional equipment at our plant to be able to execute this dust solution at scale. And we expect to have that equipment installed by the second quarter of next year. We made about 500 tons of this aggregate material, and we do have enough to begin doing some test work with this aggregate material now. Next slide, please. So, in essence, yeah, I've covered that. So, next one, thanks. So, in essence, what this companion product aggregate material needs to be qualified as to what are the proper applications. Does it add value to a concrete application? How about the road stabilization areas? How about things like cinder blocks and pavers? So there's a large amount of test work to be done. We've recently gotten a proposal from Madrid Engineering from Bartow to do some initial testing on the product that we've already manufactured to determine what are the range of applications that this J-Rocks, this aggregate product, might be suitable for. And you all were kind enough to put in your budget approximately $200,000 last year for subsequent test work, putting in concrete plots in a parking lot, paving or using this material as a soil stabilizer over a 500-foot long roadway, and doing some other things. But I think the first step for us is making sure that we understand what the most likely good applications are with a smaller test program. So I guess where we are today is recommend that we do a small amount of test work and request that you all consider putting a larger amount of money in the budget for once we get additional J-Rocks manufactured in the second quarter of next year for us to go forward with a full-scale test program.
And how much is that?
How much is it?
Mm-hmm.
So the entire amount would be about $200,000.
So the same amount that we had, just so the board remembers, we had defunded them. We defunded everything that we had last year, and his was pending him coming back and making another presentation. We do not have to take up that funding today, but it remains on the table for us to consider this, and that's the purpose of the presentation.
And again, we also just want to make sure that we are keeping you all advised as to our progress. It's certainly taken longer than expected, but we're every bit as optimistic about our ultimate success as we were the last time here.
Tip, I supported that last time because the testing and all was going to be done in Hardee County on the roads and stuff. Now, this money you're asking for now, is that the same plan?
Same.
It's not to spend it in Bartow or somewhere?
Well, now, this first $9,500 would be in Bartow. It's lab work. It's basically lab work. It's not a demonstration. But the demonstrations that were contemplated would be here in Hardy County.
Well, would that $9,500 be a part of this money that you're asking us to give?
Yes, sir. That's the request.
Can we do that?
I don't know why not.
Okay, we can spend the money outside of the county for economic development.
I don't know, we spend money outside the county. When we bought the building for Florican, we bought that building outside the county. In this instance, in order to do the $190,000 project, they have to do some lab work.
I understand that, I'm just asking if it's okay, and if it is, I'm fine with it.
I cannot think of any reason why it would not be okay.
Okay.
Madam Chair, if I saw that slide right, if I read it correctly, you're looking at a difference between $28 a ton cost for disposal of the phosphogypsum versus $90 a ton in revenue. Was that the numbers that I saw?
Yes, and what that refers to, it's just to say that, phosphogypsum is, gosh, these are very expensive things to build. If they cost maybe $100 million to build and a couple $100 million
They're
to
there
forever. And if you take and amortize that, our estimates of what that would be that those numbers per ton of P2O5. So for every ton of P2O5 that we would produce in our plant, we would produce 6 tons of the Scarox material. So if we had the assumption there is if you sold it for $10 a ton, well, there you go. There's $10 or $15 a ton. Will we be able to get $10 or $15 a ton for it? Who knows? We have to do the test work and identify the right markets first.
We will place on the agenda a budget amendment at the next meeting for the board to consider based on this presentation. If anyone has any questions additionally related to this today, I appreciate your questioning.
I'd like all of them to interpret what he just said.
Sorry about that.
Well, she has a degree in chemistry.
When are you going to be available or be open for tours for, I've had several commissioners that would like to come up and see the facility, and
We'd be delighted to have you anytime. We're not running right now. But we'd be
when will
delighted.
that be?
That'll be in the second quarter.
Second quarter.
Right. Mhm.
So in the second quarter, we will begin scheduling some individual tours if some of you would like to see it. It's pretty fantastic. It is.
Vanessa, is there any, what are your testing procedures right now, the market's going for? I mean, is there anything other than concrete paving and that?
Yes, so the things that we want to take a look at is first, okay, so these are spheres, and they're lightweight. So does this make a good lightweight aggregate? That's the first thing. Second thing, it would be to take, and look at it as a soil stabilizer. Is it a good soil stabilizer for applications, road applications? One of the things we want to also take a look at is let's grind these balls up and see if they have cementitious properties. Do they displace cement, in other words? So like fly ash or slag. Can we use these J-rocks ground up as a supplement to cement to make lower cost concrete? So those are the sort of applications that we want to have a look at.
Does it have any value as a fertilizer or soil amendment?
No, there's what happens inside the kiln is it basically is almost like a glass, and so anything in there is tied up a little house of glass and can't get out. Right.
There really is very little phosphorus in the J-rocks, isn't it?
No, very.
It's all.
Yeah, practically none. Practically none.
How big are those little balls? They're real little?
No, they're about they're between 3/8 inch and 1/4 of an inch in diameter.
And they're pretty hard.
They're hard. Yeah,
So it'd be good for a road bed.
they're hard.
More like it.
I believe that's what the testing will show. Yeah.
when you put them on a road, Tip, are you gonna have to put them down with some asphalt or some kind of a black tar or something to keep them from blowing up from tires?
Well, that's one of the things we want to have a look at. In these native sandy soils, in the addition of these J-rocks, does it provide soil stabilization? Initial indications would say that it does. And what's the right application? Do we have to put some asphalt down? Maybe that might be one of the outcomes of the.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Yeah.
Soil stabilization, meaning the sub-base?
Sub-base.
Unless you use a shale base or
Mhm.
some type of an aggregate like that.
As one
And
application.
overlay it with whatever products flow over.
Mhm.
But they're not big busted, they're broken or anything like that, are they hard enough?
They're hard, but that's weak, but they're not infinitely hard. And if you just have these things, sitting there on dirt and trucks roll over, will they crack? I bet you they will. Is that bad for soil stabilization? Maybe not. It might still be good.
Tip, what percent of the matrix is actually reject rock?
Yeah, so in Hardy County in South, there's something called the upper zone, which is the material that Mosaic mines and can use in its wet acid plants. And let's call that 1 unit, just about 1 unit of phosphate in the upper zone. And in the lower zone, immediately beneath the upper zone, is 1.8 units of phosphate, almost twice as much. But it's high in magnesium, and it's very difficult to use in the wet acid process. But it's fine for us, because we don't really care about that magnesium. And so that's the large increase in reserves of 1 billion tons of additional material. And our feed product today is what CF used to call high mag pebble. This is a waste product that they can't use, but that's the product that we are using.
So from a mining perspective, historically, have they left the reject rock in the ground, and what is produced is just where the upper matrix, upper zone,
Yeah, so
next to the lower zone?
a little geology here. So in most of the mining areas they've already mined, there is no lower zone. But as you get into Hardy County and south, the lower zone appears. This high magnesium level appears. So they haven't really gone through too much, but where they have, they've left much of it.
Without your process, will they leave that in the ground?
Yeah, they wouldn't mine it.
No, they would not mine.
At what depth?
It's I don't know a good answer to that. I mean, it's
I know it varies, but.
yeah, it varies.
Approximately.
Well, it's say the upper zone is maybe say 15 feet of 15 to 20 feet of overburden, and then maybe 15 feet of upper zone, and maybe 30 or so feet in the lower zone. I mean, that's it obviously varies, and I'm going from memory here, but that's what I recall from some of the work that Fipper has done.
Have you looked at the viability of getting the magnesium product out of the process?
Well, that's an interesting part because we don't the magnesium stays in the ball and the phosphorus leaves, so we don't have to get the magnesium out. And we can get the phosphorus that we want out without touching the magnesium. So that's what makes it real transformation. We can use the high mag rock, taking the phosphorus off and leaving the magnesium in the ball.
Does it make the cost of raw land go up?
Boy, I tell you what, that's a crystal ball I sure don't want to be looking into.
Well, Tip, thank you for your presentation.
Thank
Do
you.
we have any final questions from board members?
Pleasure.
Does anyone have any objection to us proposing to restore funding with budget amendment at the next meeting? Okay.
Thank you, Tip. We're going to take a brief 5-minute break before we move into a rapid systems update. So we will come back together at 10:50.
They went over to do things in the house. She bought exactly, I think the closet's about 40 square feet, she bought 40 square feet. The problem is she bought it at Lowe's, things like Karen's. So there's no good heat race up there. Last time we were on, my stepmother, 4,000 sheets I could come in. They were like that. They were so big. So hopefully we got something for them. Coming this coming Saturday. Man, I hadn't seen you in a long time. How you doing? How you doing, man?
You ever get that working?
Yeah. What is my grandson, when Brian turns his computer on, sometimes it will pull his down. I think it's because I'm not getting the data in there because of what I'm paying for.
If you go to the next one.
Well, how much is the next one? Okay, we're paying 25. So you think 35 is the next one?
Yeah, that's right. Because you're at the.
How much more is that going to give me?
It's gonna give you two on your.
See, I don't understand all that stuff, but it'll give you more.
Yeah.
And you think it'll be a little faster? What I need to call the sales office?
Yes.
Can you have that done or what?
You'll have to sign it and everything.
Oh, okay. What they do,
it.
mail it to me or something?
What I do is probably email it to you. They give it
And what I do, sign it and just carry it down there to the office?
sign it, just send it in.
So, how's your kid? Is he? Well, I think about him every now and then. I'd like to meet him sometime, if it's possible.
One day I'm gonna bring all of my children down.
Good.
They always say, Mom, why you don't know?
Say how many people love me over there.
Some.
Well, some of us do.
Some do.
Some do.
Some questionable, but we're trying to win everything.
I know you are. Well, I still like your service.
So,
And I like your employees.
I appreciate that greatly.
They have been so good to me. And I tell everybody who says something bad about Rapid System, I say, well, not to me. I like their service. Where was I a beta? I think I was.
Maybe you were.
I think maybe I was a beta. But I'll tell you what, my grandson loves it.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
I think when he plays such high-powered games, we're likely going to get me a little more juice in it. I know. And we I mean, he's in his honors class in school. There's only 9 kids in his whole class in school, in middle school. Very smart kid. So, and he races. He drives a race car. You know, all that stuff. He's he took Taekwondo since he was 5 years old. Black belt Taekwondo. He worked out all summer with Edward Cherry, down the boxer, every morning for an hour. Edward worked him like a dog. And he loved every bit of it.
My mother always says if I just go skip the kids.
Grandkids, they should have come first.
That's what she said.
They should have come first. All right, man, whatever you have to do.
I give them, I'll send you, have them send you a code.
Yeah, that'll
All
be
you gotta do
fine.
is just sign it, and you can just drop them by the office, or send it back in, and then they'll do everything.
If you can remember, if not, I can call the sales office or something.
I get you taken care of.
All right, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, that's what I was going to translate. I thought that would be
So is every meeting like this this cycle?
What's that?
Is all the meetings like this?
Not always.
It's in January, it's January 16th to the 18th. I'm gonna call an organizational meeting, really see if we want to have some type of, like a couple hours or something.
Like we did last time, last year.
Because December at,
December was 45. December was 45. My birth year, what's your birth year?
I got it. You don't want permission to drink like that. Just kick
I just wish they'd have brought their administrators. You know, their higher pay.
You got a chance that somebody, and I love it, and when you have that last reunion,
Well, I knew you were gonna say that. That's why I was up there and things, trying to hold it with. I got it. You're gonna
yeah, and I have something to do.
Next time, next meeting, I'll be a little like
Say now.
That's the extent of my tax.
I saw random. I don't have a smartphone. But, okay.
Yeah, 35 and 25. And, so 45.
Oh, but it's gonna be.
You know where Dr. Palmer's old office was off
We can, it all depends, we can do that, it all varies where, because I see they don't want not to mount it on the thing, but we could get a post and mount it here and stuff, and run it where we need to run it. We're about up to 300 feet. So, just to run a cable through there, because we won't use your internal. And go from there. And after that, say just going to buy or something, if you know, there's issues, whatever, you call us up, we'll come out, look at it, change the radio out. But we're just paying for the service, we do all the updating and all everything else. So if the radio gets hit by lightning or whatever, we'll come out with license, there'll be no charge. Then we'll also, help program your router, or, whatever you need help with. Whatever.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and come back together now. We'll go ahead and continue with our project updates. I believe we're going to hear from Rapid Systems.
And Denise Hamilton is here to make a presentation for Rapid Systems. Denise, welcome.
Yes.
My name is Denise Hamilton. I'm with Rapid Systems, and I greatly appreciate the opportunity to come and discuss the shared cost with the IDA, and also the $127,000 question that's been thrown around, and give a status update on where we are with the lawsuit. Rapid Systems Hardy County Broadband Network, the shared cost between Rapid Systems and the Hardy County IDA, and the two memorandums of understanding, also known as MOUs. Next slide, please. Rapid Systems, per the 2009 Hardy County EDC, EDA, and Hardy County IDA broadband agreement, built the Rapid Systems Hardy County Broadband Network, through a 300 meg wireless link from Tampa to Riverview to Hardy County Site 14. I'm emphasizing that we started this network with a wireless link from Tampa to Riverview to Hardy County. Next slide, please. Rapid Systems, the Hardy County IDA, and FERBA created 2 MOUs, Memorandums of Understanding, in order for FERBA to submit for the federal broadband stimulus grant. FERBA was awarded the grant in August of 2010. There were 2 MOUs. The first MOU was between Rapid Systems and FERBA. The second MOU was between the Hardy County IDA and FERBA. The MOUs provided as follows. FERBA was to provide the Hardy County IDA with a data center and 5 years of upstream capacity. FERBA was to contract Rapid Systems to build and operate the network. Hardy County IDA and Rapid Systems were to allow FERBA to use the Rapid Systems Hardy County Broadband Network as an in-kind asset to apply for the federal broadband stimulus grant. The next 4 slides are the endorsed copies of the 2 MOUs. This is the Rapid Systems and MOU with FERBA. Next slide. And that's the Hardy County IDA MOU with FERBA. In September of 2011, I'm sorry. In September 2011, the connection providing the start of the 5 years of upstream capacity began. The Hardy County broadband backhaul services then changed from wireless to fiber. Below is an email verifying the changes in service. Next slide, please. For reasons unknown to Rapid Systems, FERBA starts breaching the MOUs, but also FERBA misrepresented the ownership of the Rapid Systems Hardy County network to the federal government. FERBA improperly filed liens on the entirety of the Hardy County network. FERBA submitted false backhaul invoices to the Hardy County IDA for services never provided, and FERBA refused to pay vendors, including the lease taxes on the warehouse rent in Hardy County. 1 year later, after breaching all of these other promises made to the Hardy County IDA, FERBA commits her final breach by notifying the Hardy County IDA to make other arrangements for the upstream capacity via Level 3. Below or inside of this slide, I have detailed the email that gave the 30-day notification. To this very day, FERBA contends that Hardy County breached the MOU and that you guys owe them the money for this. The Hardy County IDA voted to share in the additional costs and compensated Rapid Systems for half up until August 2013. Rapid Systems is still in litigation with FERBA, and a very, very small settlement was agreed to for 2 boards and the individuals to be removed from the case. Now we are only in litigation with FERBA, with Gigabit Squared, and the 2 individuals. So that's really the long and the short of it, and I know it's 11 slides and it's a lot of information and there's a lot of history, but we are still in litigation with FERBA, and I'm certainly willing to entertain any questions that anybody has.
You see any end in sight for your litigation process, or is this one of those going to drag on and
We're hoping it's going to be resolved by Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Denise, what is the current status of FERBA?
It is our understanding that their latest network operator and sub-recipient by the name of Affinity is pulling out of the state. It is also our understanding that the MSDA, which is the first stimulus project in the state of Florida, will be going into emergency financial situation that they have to contact the governor about. So right now, Our project looks fantastic in our state, being a county project, county-supported IDA project, and the state stimulus projects are not looking very good right now.
Maybe clarify this, there were actually two groups that sought the broadband stimulus grants from the state of Florida. The first one was actually set up as an authority. That is the North Florida Broadband Authority, and it had 15 counties, roughly, in North Florida. After that group, FERBA was formed, and it has the 6 counties of the Freddie region and 9 or 10 counties of Opportunity, Florida, which is in Northwest Florida. So you have actually 2 groups, but the FERBA was not formed as an authority. It was formed as an alliance or an LLC. So the rules related to how the government treats them is different, and that one is really a private sector company, FERBA, the one that we're a part of, or we're a part of, and the authority of the North Florida Broadband Authority, which is a government entity. So when you try to sort through this, as you get tidbits of information moving forward, you need to keep that in mind, because they will be treated somewhat differently in the courts.
I was just curious, I mean, is there something we need to do? Why are we having this update today from Denise? And is there something that we should know that you're not telling us, or is there, I mean,
Yeah. No. We felt like it was appropriate for them to come and bring you an update. The Rapid Systems was on the front page of the Herald Advocate last week. The main concern that I have is to have some acknowledgement from the board that they have received some small settlement, but the case is still in litigation, and we have an agreement with them that if the case is settled and they get recovery, they will remunerate us a portion of our $127,000 some odd dollars that was put into the system. Again, I don't know whether everyone really understands that or not, but relative to these MOUs that you saw today, FERBA was to provide a gig of upstream capacity to the Hardy broadband system. When we lost that capability, when they pulled out, Rapid had to take on that entire responsibility, and it is quite an onerous financial burden. That is the reason that the board, or hopefully that's the reason that you in part agreed to participate with the $127,000 contribution. So just as an update, that's where we're at, and as it continues to move forward, we will keep you apprised periodically, and hopefully there'll be some reasonable settlement and we can continue.